Welcome back to Book Summary 5. I'm Sammy, and today, Carl and Donut discover that the only thing worse than being trapped in a dungeon is being trapped inside a giant bubble with 4 castles, a flying gnome fortress, a flooded tomb, and an artifact that releases insane gods whenever you use it. This is The Gate of the Feral Gods by Matt Dinniman, the 4th book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. After surviving the Iron Tangle, Carl, Donut, Katja, and Mongo enter the 5th floor, known as the Bubbles. The level contains more than 1,000 enclosed worlds. Each bubble is divided into 4 connected quadrants: air, land, sea, and subterranean. Every quadrant has a castle and stairwell. A group cannot leave its starting area until that castle falls, and nobody can escape the bubble until all 4 are conquered. Carl's team enters Bubble 543 in the air quadrant. It is a desert bowl sitting on top of the necropolis of Answer. Sandstorms sweep across the area. Camel-like dromedarians live in a settlement called Hump Town, and the enemy castle floats overhead. That castle is the Wasteland, a fortress carried by balloons and defended by heavily armed dirigible gnomes. Donut chooses Glass Cannon as her temporary class, strengthening her magic but leaving her dangerously fragile. Mordecai receives a sky-fowl body resembling his original species, only to discover that its wings have been clipped. To survive the gnomes' bombing raids, Carl and Kasia build a tracked assault vehicle from abandoned machinery. The royal chariot carries anti-air weapons, protects Donut while she casts, and gives the team a way to attack the wasteland from below. But the 4 quadrants are not separate challenges. The sea controls the water entering the subterranean tomb. The tomb's drainage system can destroy the land castle. The air fortress contains information about the other areas. The floor is a machine, and Carl is getting very good at breaking machines. Inside Hump Town, Carl discovers that several dromedarians are changelings wearing borrowed forms. Their people face a hereditary sickness, and their leader, Henrik, believes a flesh-making spell can save them. The changelings have imprisoned Wynn, an elderly gnome connected to Commandant Kane, ruler of the Wasteland. Before Carl can rescue him, another group of crawlers kills Wynn and destroys the quest. Henrik's sister, Juicebox, later becomes an ally. Her people have done terrible things, but they are also fighting extinction. Once again, almost everyone is both victim and threat. Meanwhile, Chris remains trapped under the control of Maggie Mai. Donut refuses to give up on him, and Mordecai searches for a cure. The dungeon keeps asking the same question: when does saving someone become too dangerous? Carl's answer is almost always the same: not yet. To bring down the wasteland, Carl studies the gnomes' unstable explosives and turns their own weapons against them. His attack tears most of the flying fortress apart. Only a small house remains, suspended beneath one balloon. Carl and Donut board it, expecting a battle with Commandant Kane. Instead, they find Kane already dead and his young daughter Bonnie calmly making lemonade beside his body. Bonnie is funny, unsettling, and tragic. She is another living NPC trapped inside a story designed to destroy everyone around her. By claiming the castle, Carl obtains a strange pocket watch. It is one piece of the Gate of the Feral Gods. The artifact consists of 2 pocket watches and a winding box. Henrik has one piece, Kane guarded another, and the Mad Dune mage Ghazi holds the third. When assembled, it can open a portal between 2 locations. But when the portal closes, it tears a hole into the nothing and releases a feral god where the gate was opened. These are ancient beings from before the current pantheon, creatures banished into the nothing and driven mad. Using the gate means gaining instant transportation while leaving a divine catastrophe behind. Naturally, Carl decides he needs it. The remaining quadrants become a race to collect the other pieces while completing the bubble. Ghazi's land castle is made almost entirely of sand. Carl could destroy it quickly by opening the necropolis's drain, but that might bury the winding box, so he takes the dangerous route and retrieves it first. The sea castle is the Akula, a giant submarine once owned by treasure hunter Shamus Chaindrive and protected by mechanical guardians. Meanwhile, the subterranean necropolis is flooding, and its traps and final boss are connected to the submarine's pumps. Carl's allies manipulate pumps, drains, lightning towers, and hidden weaknesses, turning the four quadrants against one another. They also acquire a bizarre new companion, the severed head of Samantha, who calls herself Samantha. Samantha resembles the head of a cheap love doll, speaks mostly in threats and inappropriate declarations, and may be far more powerful than she appears. The dungeon clearly wants Carl to keep her, which is exactly why Mordecai thinks they should not. Eventually, Carl collects all three parts of the gate while trapped aboard the Akula. With the submarine failing, he activates it and teleports his group to safety. Then, the portal closes. The creature released from the vase. Nothing is Orthrus, a gigantic two-headed puppy and juvenile guardian of divine gates. Orthrus is large enough to threaten the entire bubble, yet technically only level 10. He is playful, destructive, and vulnerable. Killing him could provoke Emberus, the fire god connected to his former master. Carl has not merely summoned a monster, he has created a divine hostage situation. The chaos becomes even more absurd when Samantha attracts another enormous feral deity. Their confrontation tears through the environment, while Carl's allies race to complete the final castle. By combining the floor's water and lightning systems, they defeat the last threat in the necropolis and complete Bubble 543. The stairwells open. Carl could leave. Instead, he looks toward the other bubbles. Thousands of crawlers remain trapped in worlds where one castle is still standing. They have no time to finish before the floor collapses. Carl now possesses a device that can move them to safety. Every use might also release another god. He uses it anyway. Carl organizes a multi-stage rescue operation. Crawlers identify bubbles that are almost clear, gather survivors, and provide coordinates. Carl's group opens portals and pulls endangered teams out. The results are unpredictable. Some gods are too large for their bubbles and destroy themselves upon arrival. A colossal feral turkey wanders between worlds. Others attack one another or demolish castles, accidentally freeing the crawlers inside. The gate becomes both rescue device and weapon. Carl saves hundreds of people, but the operation also destroys armies belonging to powerful off-world factions preparing for the 9th floor. Zev warns him that he may have killed thousands of their soldiers and completely changed the future faction war. Carl does not apologize. He did not cheat. He used the tools the dungeon gave him. By the end of the floor, fewer than 100,000 crawlers remain. Carl, Donut, Katia, Mongo, and their allies descend, but their group is changing. Katja plans to travel separately on the next floor so she can gather former members of Hekla's daughters before Eva manipulates them again. She is not abandoning Carl and Donut. She is becoming a leader in her own right. Carl has changed too. He began the series trying to keep one cat alive. Now he coordinates rescue networks, protects NPCs, manipulates gods, and attacks the financial interests of the people running the game. The cookbook taught him that resistance existed before him. The gate proves that resistance can grow. But the 6th floor is the hunting grounds. Powerful outsiders will enter the dungeon personally. Carl still carries the Ring of Divine Suffering, and several factions now have very good reasons to want him dead. Carl has survived another floor. He has also started a war. That was The Gate of the Feral Gods by Matt Dinniman. I'm Sammy, and this was Book Summary 5. Until next time, happy reading.